Hey everybody, welcome to Speaking of Schmoedown, sports talk show devoted to the movie trivia Schmoedown. With me here, as usual, my numbers guy, my right-hand man down there in the bottom corner, Double D. What is up, Dan? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to have some Portillo's chocolate cake later tonight with my girlfriend, so I'm looking forward to that.
Hell yeah. And also producer of our show here, I just tried to name you as, hey, his name is producer, Frenchie from Schmoes of the North. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's been a crazy-ass week at work. It feels good to unwind, talk some Schmoedown, and having also a fellow Schmoedown, Schmoes of the North fellow with me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Coming back, I think it's your third time, perhaps, at least second time. Maple Dan from Schmoes of the North in the house. How you doing, man?
Yeah. Second time on this show. I did your old show as well, SEN
That's
Afterlife.
right.
So,
Right.
Been around the block a couple of times here, but always nice to be back and talk some Schmoedown with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to get into we're going to run through the match schedule that's dropped for March. But before we do that, I want to bring something up. I want to ask you guys about something. I had tweeted this out at Christian about 3 weeks ago and asked him. I didn't get a response, which something like this, I didn't expect to get a response from the man himself, from Christian. But I want to ask you guys. Now, I was rewatching the very end of the Spectacular with Andrew Guy and the Schmoeminati, okay? Now, I'm going to bring this up here. I circled those. Now, are those possibly some sort of clue or Easter egg concerning the storyline of the Schmoeminati, those handprints? Or are they just handprints that happen to be right there when they filmed it and it has nothing to do with anything?
Usually, I'd say it's just a coincidence because it is a Schmoeminati thing and every little detail counts. I think it's put in. Especially if Harloff didn't answer the question, there might be something to be answered and he doesn't want to say it. So I think it's a clue.
What do you think, Dan? Our Dan, my Dan.
Okay, so I mean, I've had experience with the Schmoeminati. I've investigated them. It could be, but in my research, I saw nothing. I mean, I got hacked by the Schmoeminati. They had the smiley faces background. I never used that. What happened at the end of the Spectacular? The smiley face hat. So it was a mask. So yeah, that's a big clue right there. The handprints, I don't know. It may be a new development, but I don't know. So I have no clue.
Before going to Maple Land, like for me, who uses their hands often? The Crusher. Crush's thing, hand crush. I don't know. So it might be just coincidence, but for me, it's an indication of a character that uses their hands. That something, or I don't know. It's for me, it's not a coincidence.
What do you think, Maple Dan?
Okay.
I don't know why, but I had a feeling you would have an opinion on this.
I definitely have an opinion on this, and it's absolutely not made up right now. The handprints, you notice, if you look on the video, it looks like it's a left handprint, but
yes.
Guy has the camera in selfie mode. So that is actually a right hand print because all selfies are reversed when you take them.
Mm-hmm.
So a right hand print makes me think it's a 5. It's the 5 horsemen, possibly. But there's another thing of it being the right hand and Guy's true enemy being Ben Bateman. Who is Ben Bateman's right hand man? We've seen him a few times. He used to carry his briefcase around. Remember when the boss had a briefcase? What the hell was in that? We never actually figured it out. So, I speculate that Brandon Hanna, maybe he had something to do with Guy's disappearance.
Now, question for me, Daniel. Why isn't this on your whiteboard?
Because I had to do a draft a few days ago.
So obviously you noticed those handprints before. Obviously, if you didn't just come up with this. Is that what you're saying? You've noticed those handprints before in there?
Oh, yes. I've been watching this video at least once a day since it came out, trying to figure out where Andrew Guy is. He wasn't in the draft. There seems to be some sort of Andrew Guy impersonator on the Action Industries show, and it's confusing. Like, nobody answers questions about Andrew Guy anymore. It's like he doesn't exist.
That would be a huge coincidence if he happened to stop at that spot, and it's framed perfectly because it's off center with those hands taking up the other side where your eyes would normally see a huge void. It's perfect. It's too perfect to be a coincidence.
But I have to be honest, the whole Five Horsemen thing does make sense. It really does, and I don't know. Do you think the whole war between like everyone, the X5 Horsemen, is just a charade and they're still in control?
Oh no! I just fell down an even bigger conspiracy. If it truly is Ben Bateman who infiltrated the Five Horsemen and has subsequently destroyed and decimated them, and now he is now in the dungeon, which is one of the next strongest bonded factions. And let's not look into too many things there. But if we're truly looking at Ben Bateman as a possible person, and he is like second or third on my list as like the man in charge of all of these things, I worry about the dungeon's future.
First, okay, Dan, I see you down there, but I tapped my head first. Sorry. I'm calling an audible here, guys. We're supposed to, the opening 20 minutes was supposed to be, I was going to bring this up shortly and then get into the matches. We're going to jump into this more because concerning this kind of actually in a way wraps into Frenchie's corner as well, where I was going to present something and then also say that I'm going to lay out a full display or a full rundown of my thoughts next week, but we're doing it right now. Okay, I've been thinking this for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I've got some people who can back me up on this. When Guy and Bateman had their falling out, I was like, okay, this is the long game. They're in on this. This is a setup that they want to destroy the four horsemen at the time, wasn't it? They want to destroy the horsemen. So that this whole thing was in a big elaborate thing. Ben Bateman over time, he infiltrated them and he would tear them apart and destroy them from within. And he and Guy would end up reuniting as team action, like, hey, it took us 3 years, but we destroyed you. Okay. Then they actually kind of like shit went down and the Five Horsemen were torn apart pretty much. So maybe that really is the case. That's what I'm pushing for, and I've been pushing for years. But then you get into it even deeper where it's not just the horsemen. See, this is where I get lost and I need some help. Because then how do we connect Guy and the Schmoedown and all that now? Because I still think there's a long game that they're playing. They're up to some shit together and have been.
I strongly disagree on that. I think Guy is not in on it. He's on. Well,
maybe not Schmoedown, but I mean, I think he and Bateman splitting up was all a play for them to try to infiltrate the horsemen like Bateman did and destroy them. Is what I think was.
If we're going behind the curtains, like the talks, I probably was the case. The storyline was, separate, divide and conquer, and come back eventually. But things evolved, so I think that was probably the original idea, like the whole storyline plot. But things evolved into probably what was supposed to be that turned into the Schmoedown, right? And it grew even bigger as a storyline without necessarily going back to the original game plan. It evolved into that. That's what I think.
I think they've morphed into one big plan. Yeah. What do you think, Double D?
So I was very interested in what Winston said last week, that Thad could actually have been drafted. I'm calling it. I'm thinking it's Thad that's behind everything. He's getting revenge against Christian for manipulating the Schmoedown so he could get back in power. I think it's that. I think everything is all behind that. He's recruiting Drew McWeeny. He's recruiting everybody that he can. And guys, just this next person that he's just throwing in the trunk and tied up behind a chair with a lamp over his head, keeping him sedated or whatever. And so he can evolve and take back control of the Schmoedown. I think that's the plan.
That would be so disappointing, though. If it's that, it's like it would be like a oomph, you know. It wouldn't.
Well, I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. I just think because it was interesting that Winston said that he could bring that back. I found that very interesting. So maybe that is the way they thought originally went, but maybe they're going a different direction. But who knows? We'll find out soon enough.
Back around to Maple Dan after you got me started on my theory for the past couple of years I had going. What do you think about all this?
Well, see, I mentioned earlier that Ben Bateman is only like second or third on my possible list of the people involved. I still have like Mark Ellis higher than that, and that's
Really?
just based on
Wow.
Yeah, Mark Ellis is a curious like choice because like he seems so like likable and nice, but if you look back, he misses a good chunk of like last season. He's like especially like in the studio matches, he was kind of missing. There were a couple of guest hosts. He was touring. Sure, okay,
But he was.
He was.
Sure he was.
That's his cover.
Sure he was.
That's his cover.
Sure he was, Louis.
It was his cover. He was doing it from online.
Tell that to the people who actually saw him live during his touring.
And
It was
yeah,
his
honestly,
Hologram, dude. Get with
it makes sense for Mark Ellis to do it just based on wanting to get back at Christian for like taking the spotlight. Like Mark Ellis is not co-chairman of the movie Trivia Schmoedown. He's just
That is true.
He's just
And
baby
anytime I
carrots.
hear anyone credit like anyone, it's always Christian.
And yeah, it's Chairman Harloff and this and that. And he's the one who like is the one who has to deal with all the managers. But maybe that is secretly part of Mark's plan this whole time, as he doesn't want to do all the work as well. So he has little puppet Christian do what he needs to do until things start running off the track and he needs to correct them.
And what about a lot of fans think also it might be Clark Wolf herself, because she was like, she was the commissioner, right? But we didn't really hear anything from her. So might she be more prominent in the storyline if ever she's revealed she's the one behind it? And what is the chances it's her?
I don't think so. I mean, it'd be interesting, but for her to be in the storylines, but I don't know. I don't know. I hate like Clark Wolf so much. I have her on a pedestal, so I don't want to tarnish her image in my view. So if she is revealed, I'm going to be disappointed. But I know I'll get over it. But I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it initially.
There was a chance, like that one time, if I'm not mistaken, Clark Wolf and Rachel Cushing was supposed to be turning heel at one point if they lost a match or something, right? So what if they just exported that idea just to Clark Wolf, or even like what we said, the two hands crusher, right? What if like both are actually going to do the heel storyline, but as not as competitors, but really as more like the commissioners, and they're pulling the strings and they're doing their heel storyline just a bit later than expected.
That's interesting. I can probably go for that, but I don't know. Well, I really don't know this because it could be anyone at this point. I mean, I had Christian. I predicted that Christian was behind Mike Kalinowski, but that's because of we see a lot of Mike's actions. I think as we see more of the Schmoemanized actions throughout the season, I think then we can kind of get a clear picture on who's behind it all.
Well, let me ask you something, Eagle Dan. You brought up earlier the masks with the smiley faces. Do you have any theories, or have you found any connections between those masks and any particular people or storylines? Anything from any hints?
Oh, that's a good question. The only connection I saw was when they hacked my Facebook account and they used the smiley face emoji background. That's the only thing, and I can't think. Maybe it's one of the rookies. Maybe it's someone that we haven't seen yet.
No, it can't be, because you don't know if they're going to be good or not.
Yeah, you don't know.
The only connection I see is Roka's mask, that mask. Will it maybe his evolution? Because he stopped wearing the Guy Fieri mask, right?
Yeah,
But he's still a mask with a smile. What if that's his evolved mask, his new mask coming for the next season?
That could be a good one. That's something. I will say there is a connection there.
I do think, based on like your mention of Clark earlier and this mention of Roka, it would make for a good transition. So for Roka, revealing him to be under the mask and him to start wearing that new mask would be great if he was transitioning from player to manager, let's say. And I do think the Clark reveal would work a lot better if it turned out she was coming back as a heel competitor. Because if you use that for Clark Wolf's return, it goes from a meh reveal to my favorite reveal immediately, because I want Clark Wolf to come back as much as I want Rachel Cushing to come back.
Now, like, if we base it fast on the, like, say, Illuminati from the comic books, it's more than one person, right? There's like literally a team of Illuminati heroes that like are behind the scenes. So we all might be right. It might be a combination of Tad, Wolf, plenty of people who want to play the system, who are tired of certain things and decided to do their own system. And maybe that storyline is even hidden from like certain players. They don't know who's who, right? And only the players who are in the storyline know it, and they can't reveal it. But I have a feeling it's probably a team of 5-6 people that are pulling the strings, and we're just mentioning a couple of them, but we're not necessarily thinking it's a group of them.
Yeah, I actually, in my research, I did say that it was a bunch of people. It wasn't just one individual, because you need a whole bunch of people to pull off the things that they were doing behind the scenes. And I mean, I only expect Roka to hack my account, so you need someone who specializes in that to hack someone's account and do all the damage that they've done. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely at least 12 people involved, one for each slice of the wheel.
Yeah, and if that's the case, which I think so too, that it's a group, then they're spread out. They're not all in the same faction, which makes it even more interesting, because that means there's, they may be playing against the rest of their faction as well, and not. I mean, it makes it very interesting.
I'm predicting one per faction. One per faction would make sense.
But, well, yeah,
like a seed in every faction, controlling that faction here and there.
You would have to have one after this draft, though. You know what I mean? Because for that to work out, they wouldn't have all had to be involved last season. You see what I'm saying? Because there's no way you could guarantee to get all of the same 12 people, each on a different faction.
And next thing we know, we're completely wrong, and it's Mark Ellis's dog. So we never know.
Also, Jay, as like a person who runs D&D games, like, you write stories that way so that you can fill in seeds with just you write a blank canvas so the character can be implanted later if you wanted a person on each faction.
True. Very true. That was great. I'm glad we took that deep dive into the Schmoedown. I'm definitely going to be looking up and keeping my eye out for some more stuff. We're going to talk about this some more, I'm sure. Right now, we're going to jump into Sexy Numbers with Double D. What do you got for us this week, Dan?
Okay, so the schedule has been released from now until March 26th. So as you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I told you how to read my charts and forecasting the whole where every faction's going to land. So now I'm going to show you where everyone's going to be potentially by March 26th. So let's roll up that graphic. So with corruption, they have a high of 16. They could potentially get 16 points and a low of -5. But most likely, that accounts for all the knockouts and the TKOs and all the negative numbers for the knockouts if they get knocked out. And if the 16 is obviously for if they include they knock out their competitors. But most likely they will actually range from by the end of March, by March 26th, they could be anywhere between. I predict that most likely they'll be anywhere between 0 points and 11 points. Swag has a high of 24 points with a low of -5, and they can be anywhere between 0. I predict that they'll be anywhere between 0 and 19 points. The FinStock Exchange has a high of 13 points and a low of -4, and I predict that they'll be somewhere in between 9 and 0. With the Quirky Mercs, they have a high of 22 points and a low of -5, but they'll probably be somewhere between 17 and 0 points. The Stars have a high of 24 points and a low of -5. They can probably be somewhere between 19 and 0. The Den has a high of 17 points and a low of -5 points. They'll probably fall between 12 and 0. The Usual Suspects have a high of 14 points and a low of -4. And they'll probably fall somewhere between 10 and 0 points. And finally, we get to the Dungeon, who has a high of 24 points and a low of -5, and probably will fall between 19 and 0 points. Now we can take off that graphic, and this actually doesn't factor in the potential that there might be a triple threat for the Star Wars title belt, but because that's what's listed on the schedule on the website is just a title match between Alex Damon and Andrew Del Malanta. So if it does turn out to be a triple threat match, we can see an increase of 3 points from the Stars, the Quirky Mercs, the Dungeon, and Swag, which obviously will result the Stars being somewhere between 22 and 0 points. The Quirky Mercs can be somewhere between 20 and 0 points. Swag can be somewhere between 22 and 0 points, and the Dungeon will also be at 22 and 0 points. And that's all for end of March 26th. So hopefully you drafted well in your fantasy league because we're getting going. Now, early leaders could be Swag, Quirky Mercs, Rockstars, and the Dungeon, but because they have the most potential points available. But that doesn't necessarily mean they will be. It's just most likely they will be the early leaders by the end of March. And obviously the other 4 will be somewhere below or somewhere in the middle. So let's bring on Maple Leaf Dan. So get his thoughts on this.
Yeah, I do think that, like, depending on how many matches you're given as a faction, which number 1 contenderships and rankings play a factor into the larger spread of matches that some factions have. And honestly, a lot of this season will be a balancing act of, honestly, hopefully you get more matches worth more points, and those are your wins rather than the ones worth less points. Honestly, this year, I'd rather lose a singles match than an IG match or a Star Wars match, since at 3 a week, we're going to have about an even number of all of them.
Yeah. And thing is, let me get your opinion on this. Do you think that we're going to get a surprise triple threat with a Star Wars title match, or do you think that it's actually going to be a title match between Andrew Del Malanta or an Alex Damon?
I like I would bet that it's going to be 2 separate matches. I think that Damon is confident against Di Milanta and pretty confident against either of the opponents in the next match. On the other side, I do believe the triple threat favors Alex because of his extremely high accuracy and just the number of potential steals that are possible gives him an insane advantage going into a triple threat over a one-on-one match.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely gives Alex, if Alex Damon does win, it does give him a massive lead. I think it would give him like 11 points if it is a triple threat match, rather than a regular title match, which is 7 points this season. He'll get, if he does win, he'll get 8 points because of the bonus win, obviously bonus point for the title defense. So, but I think I really do think that they might do 2 matches because I think Alex wants to break that Patriots record. I think he likes to have as many records as possible. So and if he does do 2 matches, I think he'll actually match that Patriots match record if he wins both matches.
Yeah, I think he's at 4 defenses now, 5 wins overall. And yeah, he's just got to get to 6. And then by his spectacular match or the end of the Star Wars tournament, Alex Damon could have a longer defense record than the Patriots.
Yeah, and I don't see that record ever being broken. You may get one or the other, but I don't think you'll get. I don't see it happening unless someone just becomes just so God level insane of a movie knowledge. But as of right now, we can't say that. At least with the Star Wars, at least on the Star Wars division.
Although we never thought the Patriots record would be defeated, and now we're looking at Alex potentially doing it within this season.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I almost typed this to Frenchie, but I'm like, I'm not gonna mess with him in the middle of production. But I was absolutely loving you guys talking about that stuff. For
Still
real.
goes over my head right now.
Some of it's over my head, but I love it. Absolutely love it, man.
But you at least understand that this is the most points that this is the high that they can get. This is the low that they get, and somewhere they're probably going to be in between that. And you'll start seeing as matches get played and results, you'll start seeing that bar grow up, and you'll start picking it up once this week to week to week to week.
I'll probably text you a couple times like, "Is this what you meant? Is this what you meant?"
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much, both Dans, but Double D, thank you for those sexy numbers. Now, everybody, we're going to go to Frenchie's Corner, where Frenchie, well, I'll let you explain it, sir.
Well, Frenchie's Corner is basically me and Mr. J. Wade arguing because it's rare. Sometimes it does happen that we do agree, but we like to push our limits and to see how much we can butt heads on a couple of subjects. So I'll let the ticker do the talking for the first question. Are we going to see a new Star Wars champ this year? Is this the year Damon falls? Now, Double D said he's going to try to break the records. He's going to go rampaging. He's going to Di Milanta is not a problem. His next opponent's not a problem. I agree. I don't think Di Milanta is the one to knock him off. You never know. He could. He has a drive. But I still think that this year is the year we see Alex Damon as immortal. Now, is it possible he still continues his rampage? Yes. But Star Wars Division, in my gut, feels like a whole different beast. Something is evolving in Star Wars. Something is changing. With the new 3 Dragon Con players, I think they're bringing a whole new level of competition that they did not have before. Before, it was kind of like recycling, throwing and see what sticks on the wall. Some did, some didn't, but never to a level that really, kind of shook the foundation. for me, the level of competition injected in Star Wars, I think Harloff wants to see if anyone could defeat Damon. So he's really trying to inject the most he can. And I think we might have found people who can.
Well, Frenchie, you're right. Is what I would say if you were right, but of course you're not right. Dude, no one, I don't care who you are. I'm impressed with some of these rookies. Yeah, okay. Dude, I don't care who you are. No one, and I mean no one can touch a Force Ghost, and that's what Alex Damon is. He is the most powerful Force Ghost in the Star Wars division of Schmoedown. He ain't being dethroned this year. He ain't being dethroned next year. He will be dethroned when he orders the person that he feels is his worthy apprentice to succeed him. That's when he will be dethroned, when he allows them to strike him down. That's when he'll be dethroned. And it ain't this year, it ain't next year, it ain't Demolanta, it ain't Ace, it ain't Harper, it ain't nobody, dude.
Look, I agree. I'm not saying he's not probably one of the best we've ever seen or continue to be best we've ever seen, right? But if Dan Murrow can lose, anyone can lose. Damon, for me, is on the same level as Murrow in different divisions. And it only takes that one time, that one circumstance, that one question. Damon is scary, right? You can't miss any questions. He's going to steal it. The second you go down 2-3, the match is over, basically. But with the gravitas and the level of depth we have in the new injections, and I'm specifically going to be talking about Harper. I've been going on a Harper's hoot, and I've been really, saying this guy is the next best thing, because this guy. Okay, but look, this guy, let's say Collins, he's a rookie. He's just a fan league. He's not good. Destroyed, and they just threw it. Yeah, they just threw him off because he's a new guy, right? What is the new guy gonna do? Well, that's the same thing for Harper. It's not like he's going blindly in trivia like he's never done this. He's done Dragon Con. It's a different beast, yes, but the principle is it's still trivia, and even in a sense harder than Schmoedown, because like he explained to me, they don't give clue context. They don't say episode 2. They don't say the Clone Wars, this and that. They just ask a question, and you have to guess which movie, which scene, which characters. So he's used to going in depth, and this is for any Dragon Con player. But this guy, okay, is still pretty new to Schmoedown, and the conversations I've had and I've seen him had too, he speaks like someone that has been in Schmoedown and following Schmoedown for 8 seasons. He's able to dissect things and study things and analyze, well, round 3 questions is more like this, more like that. It's only been a couple of months he's into it. So imagine when he starts getting the beat and starts having defeating people and understanding the ins and outs of it, he's going to be a scary competitor. And I think one that can, if not beat Damon, really make him sweat.
Okay, first and foremost, where the hell have you been? I've also had conversations with Thomas Harper. I've had some at the same length as you. I've been on the same conversations with you. So no, hold on. You can't sit there and be like, well, I've had these conversations with him, so I know I have too. But that doesn't change the fact that it's Alex Damon we're talking about. And then you want to bring up the whole, well, yeah, that was thrown around with Collins and Merle. We can't even, there is no comparison between Merle and Alex Damon. If you want to compare,
they're the goats of their own divisions.
Dude, Alex Damon has done far more for the Star Wars division and therefore the entire Schmoedown than Dan Murrell has ever done. Ever. Oh my God. They're 2 different divisions, dude. You can't compare like that, man.
All right. Don't blow a gasket. We're going to go to the next one.
I need more Mountain Dew.
Yeah, you really do need more Mountain Dew. All right, so let's go on to the next one. All right. This is going to be a fun one. who should do a switch, like babyface to heel, heel to babyface. Apparently, you said you want to surprise me. You got a unconventional choice. So what's your choice, my man?
Okay, man. Okay, and this
Was I right?
Yeah, this ties into what we were talking about earlier too. Here with the Ben Bateman needs to go full and hard face in order to successfully carry out the extension of their original plan of splitting up and destroying the five horsemen, whatever, the horsemen. They can never, they say they're five, but I only ever saw four. And then they added a new one because one quit showing up, whatever. But it's a long game, dude. It's a long game. Bateman needs to realize the error of his ways. He needs to show us that nice guy that we all know he is. We've seen that side of him in rare moments, very rare moments. He needs to open up to that. And along the way, he needs to bring along with him Robert Parka, Mara, and Video Drew. I think will also have a change of heart, and they will start to follow him in this face turn. And I will say, and I will also add Jericho, because I stand by my thought I've always had since the draft night that Kaiser will indeed win Jericho over. He will play for the dungeon, and I think he will make a face turn as well in all of this big, long, drawn-out scheme of Ben Bateman and Andrew Guys.
Look, I actually agree with you. That would be interesting. Is it possible, especially this season, with War as a team and him going against, his old teammates? I think it's something we could see as a redemption, like the aftermath of War. I definitely agree, but I don't think this season is the season we will or should see that flip. But you are onto something. For me, I would love to see, we've seen snippets, we've seen moments, but I think it's time we see full heel Riley. For me, Riley has it in him. There's been times you saw him push back people. You saw him yo, don't get in my face. Now, don't go full heel like Hannah and diss your own teammates. Be like the proud Papa Dan and defend your people, right? But I want to see that bark. I want to see Red Kryptonite Superman, okay? And really, really going at it hard, especially against Bateman, especially against his old teammates. This is where I want to see that heel Riley really rise up, because Riley is sadly a forgotten competitor at this point. Like the mock drafts we've been doing, I've always been able to get Riley at 5-6 rounds in the fantasy drafts because no one is giving him the benefit of the doubt. And if I were Riley, I would be fucking pissed off, and I would want to just stare everything down and show everyone these guys are goddamn fools.
I don't know about that, dude. I don't know. It is possible, because I still stand by the my thoughts that he and Ben Goddard should team up together, and they should be Boy of Steel. I'm still with that. So
too soon.
But Goddard being a heel wannabe too.
No. Don't you start on Goddard. Don't you start on Goddard, man.
I like Goddard.
He is where he should be.
I like Goddard, but I don't think I'm trying to think of a way to shut down you, to be honest. But
I'm right. So
what sells me somewhat is that he feels bitter and betrayed, and he's like you said, he's definitely one of the vets. He probably feels underappreciated, undervalued, disrespected. With all of those motivating factors behind him, I could see that. But
and it would be so fun. It's something different from him, because we've seen snippets, but I really want to see him really go full at it. Like I said, not going to Hannah level and dissing on people,
right.
But it would be so.
Baby heel Brandon Hannah.
All right, so look what. Enough about us. I think our boys got something to say. I saw the reaction of them. I saw them freaking out a couple of things we were saying. So I think it's time to hear both Maple Dan and Apple Dan's thoughts.
Yep.
So
what do you boys think?
I have words. I want to talk about the Star Wars thing. So, because Star Wars is my thing. Yes, I think this is the year that we're going to see Alex Damon lose the belt because of a number of different factors. One is Thomas Harper. I said this I think the second time we had him on the show. When he actually spoke to us promoting himself for being picked in the draft, I was behind the scenes like, this is a guy that's going to get the belt. And also on his resume, he's beaten Alex Damon before at Dragon Con. This is going to be a guy that's going to make Alex Damon shake in his his Han Solo vest. I know it. I know it in here. And another point is, Andrew Demolanta missed his final question in the Star Wars tournament, and it cost him the match. Had he chosen a different number, I am very convinced that he was going to be the winner of that match with Ace Cabrera, and we would actually see Demolanta and Damon proper. And I had a feeling like this is going to be Damon's reckoning. This is going to be like Damon's. I'm not going to say he's going to win, that Demolanta's going to win, but Demolanta's going to give Alex the fight that he wants. So I actually believe that I'm still favoring Damon with his next title match, but I'm definitely saying this is definitely not going to be an easy match. Now, what happens later with Thomas Harper, we don't know because we haven't seen the match, but he's beaten Alex Damon before, and that does say something. And I usually try to keep it neutral, kind of be the middle guy, but I am 100% again for Frenchie. I am 100% in agreement with Frenchie. And get Jay Wade off the stage.
Okay. Whoa. Let's calm down here a bit. This is Alex goddamn Damon we're talking about. Also, couple of words on Demolanta. Great player, great accuracy. ASG mentioned it's higher than Alex's himself, but like he does seem to always drop that very specific question that honestly he knows, but his nerves get to him. That's always been a struggle for Demolanta. And has no nerves. And you know what? Thomas Harper might lose to Marie Wilson or Zach Perquette in any match leading up to that title shot and never even make it to Damon's feet. So let's not call Thomas Harper the new crowned jewel of the Star Wars division when Alex Damon is still the Emperor.
But the Emperor was the people. And let me tell you, I usually don't like to. I agree with you. We shouldn't call rookies the new champions. I've only done that twice. One was with Kevin Smets in his very first match when I was writing for Trivia SD. I went to Bibbs and said, this guy's going to be a future champion. Mark my words. And he was the champion that season. The second time, I'm calling it. Thomas Harper is going to be a future Star Wars belt holder. Maybe not this season. I'm not saying when, but he's definitely going to be a future, and it might happen this season. So, and Jay Wade, I know you're listening. There is a way to compare both. I am actually going to tell you about it behind the scenes because we're going to do that with with the next week's guest. Oh yeah.
Dan, I love you.
No. There's
Yeah. Oh, you were getting me angry, man.
Compare the no.
This is the year of Harper. This is the year of Harper. I don't care what you guys say. This is the year of Harper.
Whatever, who cares? Right now, this is the time of our next guest, and I'm going to introduce her properly in my mind. Although I do care what Christian thinks, in this case, I don't care what Christian thinks. The Switchblade, everybody. Rachel Silvestrini joining us. How are you doing?
I mean, to be fair, it is official. I am the Switchblade. That's been
is it?
Yeah. I mean, he introduced me as the Switchblade my last like 3 matches, I think.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. So power of the people, guys. And I will say this, because literally it got to the point where he kept texting me and was like, please get these people to stop. And I'm like, I'm not encouraging them. Like, you're the one that brought it up on screen. And then everybody took it and ran with it. And I love it because I get to be a little sassy and a little stabby.
Yeah, I like it. It's very nice. And let's get started in a little bit of draft, maybe not draft, a little bit to do with the draft, not really, maybe. Well, we had a guest on a couple weeks ago, and it was post draft, and he was alluding to quite possibly Ben Goddard teaming up with Paul Preston.
That would be a stellar team.
It might be. It might be. I am a fan of the Pride. I pick on Goddard. I don't have anything really personal against him. I just like picking on him. But I was a fan of the Pride. Still am if they're still around. But like I said, it was alluded to that wasn't the case. Well, I'm just curious how you feel about that. Is that something? Can you tell us? Are you gonna team up with Goddard again? If not, do you know if you're going to team up with someone else?
We don't know the teams on the den yet, because teams is an issue that is being pushed to the back burner right now, because there's no teams matches anywhere near in sight, and unless it's the belt match, which doesn't concern us. So right now we're just focusing as a faction on our members who do have matches, and once we start to feel that, things are starting to heat up and, gears are starting to turn for the teams division, that's when we'll sit down as a faction and be like, okay, so what are we going to do? Because we have 6, 7, 8 people in our faction that would make a freaking amazing teams. Like why wouldn't you divide and conquer and create the best of the best out of that? Like I would feel sad to not play with Ben anymore, but I wouldn't feel any resentment because I want what's best for him. I want what's best for my faction. And if it's not playing with him, like maybe he gets paired up with somebody. And I mean, the whole thing with last season about, everybody wanted, I think everybody wanted Paul and Ben to be paired up together last year. And then Paul and Tom got paired up as like a power couple. And then they lost their first match. And then we didn't hear from them again because of the way the season ran. And Ben and I were the B team, and we ran with it, and we got 2-1 last season, which is much better than my last team's record. But it's one of those things, like, you never know where the strength of people is going to come with the combinations that you have, and we have a lot of really strong people to pair up with each other. So
all right, nice to see you again, Rachel. When I saw you at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah, so definitely a highlight for me. So my question is like, what's the toughest category for you to study for in the Schmoedown, whether it's in singles or in teams?
I mean, this isn't I'm not dropping any news bombs here. Movie release dates, I think, are universally one of the hardest to unless you have that brain for it. Like if you have that brain, like if history was your best subject, then you're great at movie release dates. Sadly, mine was not, because you can't BS your way through history class. It's all based on facts. So I mean, you try and find the study tactics that work for you. And I think I found a few ways. So it may not be as big of a weakness as people have thought in the past. But you just keep working on it, and things always slip through the grate anyway. You can study Tarantino for a month and get it down really well, and then move on to other subjects, and then you come back a year later to Tarantino and you're like, shit, what was that again?
Yeah.
So it's you got to stay loose, and you got to stay up to date, and just keep refreshing your mind.
And now it's my turn. Now I'm happy to talk to you again. It's been a while, Rachel. I'm really happy to talk to you. Last time we talked, we bonded for almost an hour after the show about Kevin Smith. So this is a Kevin Smith-oriented question. Do you hear any rumblings about an exhibition match for Kevin Smith? And if there is one, do you think he could beat his own category against them?
I think that if there is going to be a Kevin Smith off, this is what I've pitched personally to Christian. Okay. Especially after, because before I was I would love to do a Kevin Smith off, but facing him would just be I would have to have a 5-point handicap for that, because you're literally quizzing somebody about the things that they've lived through, and that's a little on uneven ground. I mean, for a face-off, it's going to be deep questions. So like, right? It's going to be like the deepest of deep cuts. So what I proposed to Christian was because Jericho had that whole like, I can answer any Kevin Smith question. I was like, oh, that's adorable. I would love to do a Kevin Smith off against Jericho with Smith at the table.
Oh, that would be. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
And if there's one person that would probably take it to heart is Jericho, because he needs some redemption right now. Let's just say that.
Yeah, but he's still gonna lose. I mean, it would. I don't know. Like it wouldn't count against his record, because it would be an exhibition match. But I think that it would be really, really fun, and I think that it would be such a great way to like even just be like an undercard for a live event. Like that would just, first of all, live events are just gonna get everybody so hyped to begin with. But like if you throw that on the undercard, like forget about it. It'll be sold out in like 3 seconds.
I do think that Kevin should invent his own like new round in the middle of it, where he just comes up with 3 questions on the spot. They're not even about his movies; they're just about his life in general. He's like, "What car did I drive in high school?"
I'd be totally fine with that. I think the answers would be hilarious.
And how awesome! Instead of Christian, we got Kevin Smith, but we got Jason Mewes as well on the table. That would be that. I would die in the spot.
It would be a 7-hour 5-point match. Like they would get to like 3 questions and then have to do the 5-pointer because we would just be like, they'd be like, the theater's kicking us out soon and we still have 3 matches left to play. Which I mean, you know me, I would probably just like walk outside and like step in front of a bus and be like, life isn't gonna get any better. But no, it would be amazing. Anything. Christian knows that, he even mentioned it on SEN Live a few months ago. He's like, if I do an exhibition match with Kevin Smith and I don't include Rachel, like she'll burn my house to the ground. And I'm like, it's nice to know that you know this.
Yeah, at least he's aware. He knows things, right?
He knows.
Yeah.
Right.
I know one of you other fellows had another couple questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got one here.
I'm so excited. It's been a long time since I talked to you also, Rachel, and then that show wasn't doing video. So, and whenever I get to talk to people again, and it's the first time seeing them on video, I'm just starstruck, man. I'm just here to enjoy it.
Drop it. I put my pants on one leg at a time if I ever decide to wear pants again.
One of us is not wearing pants. Guess who?
2 other teams out there.
The sweatpants count. I got a question. So I actually wanted to post this, but I forgot about it. What? Are you gonna?
Yeah, it's people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Double D, come on, man. Follow the structure.
You can go. Go ahead.
No, we're out of structure.
Fuck it.
Yeah, well, I'm the producer. You're not supposed to say that to the producer.
Yeah, also,
my head's gonna pop off.
Yeah, and I'm the one who wrote the note.
Also, I literally
like I said,
tried
I'm
to
starstruck. And Maple Dan still can't get his question in because
Yep. No, I tried to start it, and then my internet completely cut out. Like, it was awful.
Okay, so go ahead, Maple Dan. I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So I've got like 2 questions here, but it's mostly the first half of it was about teams, which you're not totally sure of, but there are 2 teams that you've taken losses to that are still out there. Corruption from Inky and the Brain and Final Exam from the Pride. Is there one of those that you really want revenge on in this new season, or is it one of your singles competitors?
I mean, I would love to face. I mean, one of my losses in singles is to Paul, so like I can't face him. I would feel weird to face him now. Like we also started off as like super close friends, so like it would be weird to face him again. But I would love to face Roka because that came down to a 5-point question, and nobody gives me credit for that, which is fun because I'm like, oh yeah, he's a 4 or 5-time champ, and nobody thought that I had a chance of beating him, and you should have felt the tension in the room that day. And I would love to take on Liz again, just because, that was a runaway match for her. And I tried to make it as close as possible, but I had a bonehead call on my part, and I would love for it to be more of like an even keel, like blow for blow match, like I know it should have been. I would love to face corruption again. I think that would be so much fun. Just because like that was my very first match and I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, like you have an idea and you watch the matches and you go to the tapings and you have an idea, but once you're in front of the lights and in front of the cameras, it gets it's very different, and it kind of took me aback, and it took me like halfway through round 2 to to the start of round 2 to really get my footing. And then I got to be sassy because they missed so many Matthew McConaughey questions. So I'd love to face them again. That would be a fun redemption. I mean, yeah, final exam was amazing and brutal, but it was also like, I think it was right when we figured out that like Corona, baby.
Yes, she would make a bit too much noise. So.
Oh my God, look at those eyes.
Also,
she made her first appearance when your manager, Kate Muller, was on.
Hi.
Say hi. Luna Jade, say hi to everyone.
Hi, Luna.
Is Luna officially a Den fan?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's twice she's talking to them. I think she refuses to talk anyone but Den members now.
It's because she's a couplet. Look at her. Hi, Sleepy. Oh, she's adorable.
Sorry. Yeah, she's making a little platinum Lisa. And she wants to be a star.
We pause for baby talk because Rachel is a sucker for adorable children. I don't want any, but I love playing with them and then giving them back at the end of when they start crying.
Especially she's at an age she just wants to put everything in her mouth right now, so we have to be careful.
Oh, that's always fun. Yeah.
I always
the floors are super clean.
I got a lot of chores that I could use done.
But
yeah, no, I'd love to face anybody at this point. Like I want to get back. I want to get back in the ring. I want to, start proving to people that, 12th round doesn't mean worst in the faction, or 12th pick doesn't mean worst in the faction.
Yeah.
Like baseball players, like center fielders don't get mad when they're drafted later in the draft. Like they're still playing. There's you need a center fielder. You need somebody to fill that spot. Like you're part of the team. Why be angry about that?
Also,
have there been any conversation? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to that. Like Frenchie will get this, but like all hockey talks about unless they're the best player in the world, you don't take a goalie until the 3rd round.
Right.
Like unless you can argue he's first, don't take him.
Unless you carry Price, or Marc-Andre Fleury, you don't.
He was taken first, though.
Oh.
But I'm just curious, Jay Wade keeps harping on me, saying you're nuts for being on a Harper bandwagon. Defend me, I'm not nuts, right? Harper's gonna be the next best thing.
Harper is an amazing competitor. He does have a mental edge that nobody else in the league has, and that I think is invaluable. He also has a rabid faction behind him, prepping him, and not just prepping by throwing questions at him, but we are talking gameplay. We're talking strategies. We're talking how to get into his head during social media and with the promos and everything. We are on the attack this season, and it doesn't matter who, we're going after you. So Harper already has a good leg up on just about any other Star Wars player, because he has that history with him that nobody else does.
Okay,
I'm not nuts, Jay. I'm not nuts.
Okay, first of all, I never said Harper wasn't a future star. I never said he wasn't a future champ.
But he's gonna beat Damon this year. Damon's going down, my friend.
That's the point. Your question was, who will dethrone Damon this year?
No,
will Damon be dethroned? And I don't think he will. Therefore, but that doesn't mean I don't think Harper can't do it next season. You said this season. Yeah. So don't make it out like I'm knocking on Harper.
No, wait. I have a question for Jay Wade then. What do you think a season is going to do for Harper?
What do you mean?
What do you think the difference is going to be between this season and next season for Harper? That he's already not getting prepped for.
I just don't think I don't think the Emperor's ready to be dethroned yet. He's still
dethroned in Revenge of the Jedi or Return of the Jedi either.
I just don't feel it, man. It's a gut
fair.
feeling. I just don't feel it.
That's a valid feeling. It's a wrong feeling, but it's valid.
Right.
Yeah.
Another wrong feeling is
as-
how I seem to think that the Cincinnati Reds are going to do decent every single year, and it's just a gut feeling as a sports fan. I don't know.
And I get it. Every year, I'm like, the Canadians are winning the championship, and then nothing.
I know, I'm a sports fan. I totally understand.
But
and as I was explaining, like it takes so many matches to get to the championship that, like, especially from the rookie spot, and like if you lose any of those, you get pushed off into either the tournament scene or the following season. So it's not a matter of can he beat Alex, it's more a matter of can he get there. There were a lot of really great Star Wars competitors in that tournament who don't get a chance to play Alex because they couldn't get past the other super great competitors.
And I totally agree with that. But I'm telling you, it's the likelihood of Thomas not getting to that level is so minimal. Like, I have pure faith in him.
And look,
I
babe,
do too, but I'm just saying not this season. That's all I'm saying.
Look, yeah, like there's something about him, like I mentioned before, he has this emotional maturity, this logic, this way of presenting himself. He knows he's gonna win, but he ain't no Hannah. He ain't no like cockiness about it. He just knows. Yes, I said Hannah. But he has no cockiness. He just knows he's gonna win without no presumption. It's like he's talking about Schmoedown like he's been watching for 8 seasons. The conversations you hear and the way it's not just the things he says, the way he says it, the little intricate things he's been analyzing. I've never seen someone pick up Schmoedown that fast in my life. So it's something special about him. Like for me, I felt something special about Collins. It's exactly the same feeling I have about Harper. And Jay Wade, you're right. He's going to be a champion. You're just wrong on the timing. I completely agree with Silvestrini and Double D. He's definitely, this is his season. And Damon, you met your match.
Everything you're saying right now, I said about Robert Parker last season, as did so many more, and he didn't live up to it. Now, that's not to say that he's not going to live up to it this season, but it just means that there was that hype. There was that. There's always that hype around people. Alex Damon, dude, he is, if you want to talk about, in my opinion, if you want to just talk about not players, players, but who has held titles, the only person that I would not argue was at least comparable with Alex Damon is the Smasher, Kevin Smets. I could never argue that. But other than him, I will argue, if you want to say Dan Murrell, a title holder, against Alex Damon, who's a title holder, I'm sorry, but Damon is far more impressive than Murrell. He's far more impressive than any team's title holders. Hey, man. And I see Double D over there like, I got to say something.
Okay, I got to say this. Okay, so there's something in statistics called a bell curve. And basically what it is that, let's say you have 100 students making a test, and you want to find the averages of all the tests and where they fall on a curve. It's called a bell curve because it looks like a bell. On this side, it's the best. On this side, it's the worst. And as you get towards the center, you get the averages. So, and I did this for Roca and Chandra to kind of give this a preview for next week. And I found where they fall on this bell curve, and guess what? Dan Murrell outbeats everyone. He's the only one in this side of the area that's the GOAT. I have not done this for Damon, but I'm telling you, he's probably going to be on this side. So you can rate this. You can compare it. So that's why I was getting frustrated with you, because I have done it.
If you do want to win me over, facts and statistics are the best two ways to win me over on any argument. So you add Damon into this and present it next week, and you give me the numbers showing that I'm wrong in that opinion of mine, because I don't know.
I'll do that. I'll do that. I just won't have anything for Harper, obviously, but I also compare where Malanta is, where Laura Kelly is, and where Ace and
no, do just champs. Only people who have held titles. I want the statistics and all their stuff to show only of all of the title holders who has the best numbers.
Fair enough.
And I would be willing to bet it's going to be Alex Damon.
10 episodes where they fall in. But I'll tell you, you can't compare champions by averages.
I don't think so. They're too, like, you can't compare like a singles to an IG. Somebody like maybe somebody who's in singles doesn't know IG.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah,
they're two different divisions. They're two different kinds of genres and stuff like that. You can't.
Jay Wade, God bless you. God bless you, Jay Wade.
I know.
God bless you.
Rachel,
y'all need me for this?
I'm saying, like, Rachel's on. Stop arguing.
I know. Well, I was just about to ask.
Last time coming on this.
Do you have any final thoughts on this?
Or anything for that matter?
On my final thoughts, I think comparing the divisions is like comparing apples to Volkswagens. Very different things. I think that Thomas Harper will have a Star Wars belt by the end of the season. I think that the Den is going to be extremely tough to beat. I think a lot of people should be scared of us. And I'm just excited to start the season and prove a lot of people wrong.
Excellent. Yeah, we're all looking forward to that too. And I got a call from Saul last night when he's taking a break from some training, and he sounded intense. Like, he wasn't like, there was nothing stressful like a situation, but he was like, yeah, I'm taking a break from training. He just sounded like he was in the zone. So
Saul has turned into Smog at this point. Like, he's just like a fired up dragon that somebody stole his gold and he's pissed. He's on the rampage.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that rematch with him and Hannah, and also looking forward to see who your new teammate is if it's not Goddard. It'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, like, you guys were definitely the top team for the faction, so maybe it would do good if you can each find a separate partner and split the goods and get, hit people with more power. That might be good, but we're gonna keep an eye on it for sure. Thank you very much for your time.
Of course. Anytime, guys. It's always good to be back.
Oh yeah, really appreciate it. The Switchblade, everybody. Thank you so much. Good luck this season. And it's gonna be a hell of a season. It gets closer each week. I get more and more on edge because this war is gonna be insane. But right now we're gonna move along to hard questions where Frenchie and I he can explain it better than me. I ramble.
Okay, look, the way we set up the show for our segments anyways was, we like to argue, but we also have really in-depth conversations like adults do, not just the whole time, right? So we wanted to take the subjects a lot of people argue about and sometimes lose respect. They don't necessarily dive deeper into the more, plausible things, and they just yell at each other. We wanted to avoid that. We want to really have an adult conversation, and this week's conversation is something that I see a lot of division. It's really split, in my opinion. And should Star Wars dive deeper into the D+ content and Rebels and the Clone Wars and things that are not movie related? Because a lot of people say, hey, this is movie a Schmoedown for movie trivia, not TV trivia, not Star Wars lore trivia. It's movie trivia. And I get it. I completely get it. It technically makes no sense in a sense, right? But for some odd reason, for me, Star Wars is kind of the exception. It's such a lore thing. It's such interconnected that if you are a Star Wars fan, usually you know everything. If you're like a hardcore Damon, hardcore Harper, hardcore the Malanta, Star Wars is not just movies. It's books, comics, TV show, even some radio play. Apparently, there's a lot of things that involve Star Wars. So for me, Star Wars could pump up questions from other places and still make sense because there's things that interconnect into the movies and movies interconnect into the shows. So it wouldn't be a disjunct feeling. They all intertwine. And the thing is, we're getting deeper and deeper. They can't reset the questions every 2 years, okay? And especially they're making a push for more competitors, more matches, more. At one point, it's like, how many grains of stone is there on the wall? You know, it's like at one point, if the questions are like, how many horns does Darth Maul have on his head? It's like, good Lord, people. So there's only so much you can do. And I've been checking the upcoming movies, right? There's like 3 movies in like 22, 26. It's going to take some time before we get more movie content. But in the TV show, it's one after the other, right? So for me, it's just a natural evolution. And if it was like TV shows for TV shows, no. But since it's Star Wars and it interconnects, for me, it kind of makes sense.
I absolutely cannot argue with anything that you just said there as far as the reasons as to why it should be included. I completely agree. If it is included, I have no issues with that. It will not be the hill that I die on. But I do take a firm stance that as long as it's called, and I'm going to be like this, as long as it's called the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, I do not think that it should be included. Now, if they want to somehow, within, underneath the Movie Trivia Schmoedown umbrella, it's not the Star Wars movie trivia division, but like just the Star Wars division, and they make it clear that that's the case, then yes, I would be 100% for that, because you are absolutely right. Like you said, the books, the comics, just everything, the games, the cartoons, everything.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you, except for that one little roadblock where it's called the Movie Trivia Schmoedown.
Here's the thing, because like we're going on an old concept of if it's on TV, it's a TV show, right? But now with streaming, look at WandaVision. WandaVision is basically a movie cut in half-an-hour episodes. The quality, the way it's progressed, the way it's written, feels like mini movies, okay? And the more we advance in the society that we live in today, sadly, if this continues with variants of COVID and this and that, we might not have movies as we know it. TV shows might become our movies, or, we might have movies directly on streaming platforms, a lot more than cinema. So things are changing, right? And I think Star Wars has been changing from Mandalorian era, that it's felt like a mini series put in like the quality of a movie. Back in the day, 10 years ago, Mandalorian would have not have been a TV show. It would have been a movie, right? If like the whole Han Solo thing movie would have worked 100%, and they would have done the Obi-Wan and probably Mandalorian after, right, as movies. But that didn't work, so they did something different. So for me, Star Wars, I get it, is Movie Trivia Schmoedown, but the concept of movies and TV shows are blurring the lines these days. And you're getting content questions that would put a level playing field for new and old competitors. You'll be starting at zero in a sense, because the movies, you'll be accumulating knowledge, and you just always visit back and just see what you can soak in, right? Whereas you add new content that you would have to do new research, because before you just watched it, saying to yourself, this is not going to be in a Movie Trivia Schmoedown because it's not a movie, so I'm not going to retain it. But now, oh shit, it's in it, so everyone has to start from zero. It kind of gives chances to Scrimshaw, to anyone else that has a bad record but doesn't reflect the record, to kind of be equal to other players that have a bit more success. So for me, it makes sense question-wise, level playing-wise, and the fact that movies and TV shows right now are blurring the lines.
Well, before we get both Dan's in here, I'll give my final thoughts. I agree with what you're saying as far as it would be great to open up the info, but I'm sorry, but even though it may feel like a movie, it is a series. It is called Plus series, which means it's not a movie. And that's a fact, which I can't get past. Like I said, if they want to make it clear that under the movie trivia Schmoedown umbrella, that there's just a Star Wars division that covers everything, that's fine. But then you're going to get into the Marvel, then why not in Inner Geekdom? Why don't we add the Marvel shows? And if we're adding the Marvel shows, we have to add the comics. If we're at, it's a slippery slope, man.
And this is where I agree with you, is because for me, I wouldn't want the Disney Plus Marvel content in, because there's so much Marvel content already. It's kind of like there's no Marvel division. It's IG, right?
That. It's the same thing. They're both series.
But that's what I'm saying.
Divisions.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but for some odd reason, I can't go over the fact that for me, Star Wars feels different, because Star Wars has its own division where it's IG already. You got like 200 movies, not alone like the Marvel. So like, why add more shit? You already have enough study content and question content. Star Wars, it's one thing only. It's Star Wars, and right now the movies are going to take time before it gets released, but you're still getting new content in. So for me, because it's a really smaller, something that's very more focused in, it would still serve without being too much of a hindrance, because you won't have that much things else to study, right? Because it's ongoing. Again, I'm contradicting myself, because you're right. If you're opening up the door to have Star Wars D+ stuff, you're opening the door for other D+ things. But could we do an exception? Could Christian maybe understand that, you kind of need new content after a while, because you don't want, there's no more surface level questions. There's no more surface. Star Wars is like the most ridiculous questions ever. So if we're going into hell, let alone just an IG territory, to have several surface level questions in IG slice wheels, right? And rookie matches and matches that have competitors are 0-1. What surface level, what easy questions is there left if you're not recycling? It's just a question of practice. That's the thing. It's a question of practicality. For me, makes more sense.
Fair enough.
All right.
Let's get Maple Dan and Eagles Dan's take on this.
Okay, so back when Trivia SD actually got started, one of my first early articles was this similar to this question: what should happen to the Star Wars division? And I proposed to have it all canon, simply because Star Wars is such a very niche division. You have to know just a certain amount, just 9 movies. Whereas IG, you're getting Star Wars, you get Star Trek, you get Harry Potter, Marvel, DC, DCEU, DC films. So you're getting all these films encompassed in a division. Whereas Star Wars, you're limiting yourself to just the 9 movies, or 12 movies now. 12 movies. Plus what's ever coming out. And it's going to take long, just like what Frenchie said, it's going to take longer and longer to get movies out. So why not infuse, make it an exception? I know it's not movies, but make an exception so that way we're not having the same questions, not having more difficult surface levels or difficult questions like what caliber is Han Solo's blaster is, and infuse those shows, because it's such a very niche division. And those are my thoughts. I actually agree that you should have these shows and not have Marvel, because Marvel's producing 3 movies a year going on to 4, so it makes no sense. So what is your take?
I agree and then disagree. I agree that the Star Wars shows should be added into the division, and if necessary, move it into make it the Star Wars trivia division. And then I would specifically look at what Disney considers the exact canon, and if any of the Clone Wars or Rebels doesn't fit into that perfectly, you move those away and you just stick to what's been made since this new thing. And because Mandalorian is going to retcon a few of those things. A number of these TV series that they're adding into the universe are going to retcon some of these older stories that we're used to. And again, on the MCU front, the MCU is a television show. It follows an arc, and I was mentioning in the chat here that, like, I believe WandaVision is required viewing for the MCU. And it's part of the MCU. Part of its story is going to tie directly into Doctor Strange. These characters that they're introducing, that I don't want to, like, draw too many spoilers for a show that's on the air right now, but, like, they're going to play roles in movies. There's going to be big movie roles for them. And if you're asking questions about them, you may need the context of these Disney Plus series, but they're still MCU series developed by Marvel Studios. If it was developed by ABC, maybe. But if it's developed by Lucasfilms, it belongs in the Star Wars division.
Yeah, but I would argue that we're already Marvel MCU fans. We're gonna watch all this content anyway. So with Mandalorian, it's more of an uphill battle because the movies have been divisive, and so how to get look on these shows. My mom hasn't even seen Mandalorian. She fell asleep on the first episode, and me just going, "Why didn't you watch it?" So I feel that because I do feel that if you are, that's why I feel it's different with Marvel and Star Wars, because we're already going to watch the shows with Marvel. With Star Wars, only the pure heart fans will watch it, and maybe because of word of mouth, people will get on board with it.
All right.
That was a very great discussion, damn it.
Yeah,
I love
and no one's screaming at each other.
No one called anybody names, no one, anything like that, man. It's amazing. Harmony.
Listen, Dan and I can be on opposite sides of a page and not turn into a screaming match. I don't know about you guys.
Frenchie's corner is all different. We let the beast loose, okay? We are emotional people, me and Jay Wade. We're in the same cloth, different.
I will say, Jay just made me angry when he said, "You can't compare." You can compare everyone's average in each division. You can.
Well, prove me wrong next week.
I will.
Cannot wait. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Cannot wait.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Speaking of Schmoedown and speaking of next week, we got pay-per-view matches. The first matches of the season coming up. One of them is title match. We've got Chandru going up against Mara Kanopik. And we've got Molly Damon versus Laura Kelly. Let's go around the horn here real quick and get some predictions. We'll start with you, Double D.
I said this last week. I still haven't changed it. I think Chandru's going to defend it again, but my heart wants to say Mara. I just can't change my mind. I think my head says Chandru, but my heart wants Mara. So. And for Laura, I think it's going to be such a tight match between Laura and Molly, but I do give the edge to Laura because I think she's just more experienced and knows how more confident with herself.
Now, hot take for me, Chandru and TKO.
Really?
Chandru TKO. Mara is amazing, but the game has evolved. Chandru is a whole different beast. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. This guy has such an amazing memory, like quickness in his recall. Again, when he used to study on the Facebook groups, people would answer questions 2 seconds after, ... answer, ... answer. He is a IG Bible on two legs. It is absolutely ridiculous. I think Mara is going to have a harder time than even when she had with Rachel.
You do know she's a nuclear scientist, right?
Yes, and he's studying to be an astronaut.
She's
he's studying to be an astronaut.
High intelligence, and also, like, my thing is the Star Wars division. With Mara throwing her hat into the Star Wars division on top of the Inner Geekdom one, she's going after her title belt, and she's tackling the hardest division in the MTS. I believe Mara knows more than we think. Mara was prepped for studying to beat Kevin Smets, who has a better accuracy than Chandru Dandapani. she's ready for Chandru. Mara is taking that match, and I have Laura beating Molly by like a thread. So if Molly wins, I won't even be upset.
And I'll give my picks for Laura versus Molly. I think that's going to be a closer match like Dan. I still think it's Laura, but I think it's going to go to the 5-pointer.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I gotta say, I gotta pull a little bit from the curtain, let you guys see a little bit behind, because I have to contradict what I said in Frenchie's corner, because this is real time right now. I've been on the Laura Kelly train for years, and I honestly thought she was going to take the title last year. I honestly think she's going to take the title this year. I mean, those are my legit feelings. I do think Damon will be dethroned, and I think it'll be by Laura Kelly. I'm really rooting for that, and obviously I'm taking Laura Kelly in the Star Wars match. Yeah, and as far as the title match for IG, man, I said it last week and I'll say it again this week. There's no way you can go against Chandru's hair. That all the power lies in the hair. If you think about it, like his career started, he had short hair, and over time has gone. The hair's got longer, and he has just got nothing but better and better and better. And until he chops,
but Mara fits into a suitcase.
He ain't gonna lose that title.
Mara fits into a suitcase. She's going to ship herself to Chandru's house and cut his hair off in his sleep.
But it's, look, like I get Mara's really good, but I don't know. Again, call me crazy, but just this, I usually go to gut feelings. And my gut feeling is Chandru is just improving every time. That's the thing. He doesn't seem to plateau right now. He seems to always get better with every performance and always going, like, he will plateau eventually. Everyone does. Merle did. Colin will eventually too, because that's what sports is, right? You are dominant until you find that person who beats you. And this is why I think Damon will be beat this year, because I think he's going to reach his plateau. That being said, I don't think Chandru has reached that plateau, and I don't think Mara is that person to make him plateau.
I agree. Dan, you got a final thought there? It looks like you got something to say.
Yeah, I did. So I wanted to double check my numbers with the bell curve that I'm reading. So Mara averages 19.8, which will make her into the above average category, and Chandru is at 23.4, which is in the superior category. So according to their averages, Chandru is better. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there just now.
And she's
Mara
right.
was playing on a different bell.
Yeah,
True.
But and she's right. The X Factor, there's 50 new slices, and if there's one person that can absorb really fast, I don't know if he has idyllic memory or not, but if there's one person who can go from A to Z and not be in the same level playing field as the other people because of new slices, it would be Chandru, in my opinion, because he seems the only thing he does, he seems just to learn, absorb, and recall it right away. So, there's some players that have to study, same thing, just to retain one thing. Him, it seems like he sees it once, he retains it. He does not need to always go back, So I think because of that, everyone's on the same playing field except maybe for Chandru.
Yeah. And actually, we will have Chandru on with us next week, opening the show. The show starts at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, to talk about that match. So we'll find out what happened then and get his insight from it. And also on the back half of that, our scheduled guest is John the Outlaw Roca. So that's a hell of a lineup for next week, everybody. Be sure and come back for that. Real quick, please subscribe to this channel. Help us out. Help us grow. Share it. You follow the Jcast Network on the Twitter. That's where you'll find this show. Also, the Jcast Network on stereo and at J Wade 1134 on the stereo. And you can see right there at JWade 1134 on the Twitter as well. Frenchie, why don't you go ahead and tell the folks where they can find you at?
Well, you can find me on Schmoes of the North on YouTube, North Schmoes on Twitter. Also, you can find me on Stereo. If you have missed it last week, I got Thomas Harper on, and this is where it kind of hit on me, really. This is why I think he's going to be champion. Listen to what he talks Schmoedown. It is amazing. You won't regret it. Yeah, you can find me here every week, man.
And Double D.
You can find me on Stereo and on Twitter, simply at Dan Dolinsky, simple as that. And I'm here on this show every week, so running down the numbers, giving you the stats, and occasionally proving these two wrong. Occasionally.
But for once, you agreed with me, so I'm on board.
I agree with you. I try to stay in the middle, but I'm 100% with you.
All right, who cares if they agree? Thank you very much, Maple Dan from Schmoes of the North as well. Thanks for being our special guest co-host this week. We're definitely going to have you back more for sure. Where can the folks find you at?
Yeah, you can find me over on our own YouTube channel at Schmoes of the North, doing Schmoedown Night in Canada and Northern Consultations, or I'm also launching a show of my own there very shortly that's going to be covering me sitting down with a guest and talking about their favorite TV show. That's going to be the Best TV Show podcast, and you can find that at the BTVS Pod on Twitter, and you can find me on Twitter at Avengers_SOTN. That's Avengers, but an EH instead of the A.
Awesome. There you have it, guys. Today's, this week's episode of Speaking of Schmoedown, and like I said, we've got Chandru and Roka on next week, and the following week to wrap up the month, we have Laura Kelly and Ace Cabrera on. So that'll be good time. So be sure and, like I said, follow us here on this channel on YouTube, on the podcasting platforms. Show us some love, help us grow a little bit here. And until next week, everyone have a great, safe week.
Bonsoir.
You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.